Hunter Biden showing up at a Delaware courthouse with a freshly shaved head and officially pleading not guilty to 3 federal gun charges. The court laying out the rules for the road for conditions of his release. Hunter's got to get a real job, tell the court if he's going to leave the country, and he can't have a gun. And he also must submit to random drug testing. Could be the reason for the haircut. Speaking of which, he apparently passed one recently. Team Hunter also said to be wrapping his defense around the Second Amendment, which really puts him at odds with Dad's desire to crack down on guns.
If you willfully sell a gun to someone who's prohibited from possessing it, if you willfully fail to run a background check, if you willfully falsify a record, if you willfully fail to cooperate with the tracing requests or inspections, my message to you is this: we'll find you, and we will seek your license to sell guns. We'll make sure you can't sell death and mayhem on our streets.
You know, Katie, critics will say, well, where are the Second Amendment advocates out to protect Hunter Biden? But they don't understand lawful gun owners. Right. Lawful gun owners follow the law and would be just as hard on Hunter as they would anybody in their family.
Exactly, because they don't want this kind of stench on them. And they don't have to shave their heads when they go to court. But his lawyers might have a case, actually. There was a case in August where the federal appeals court ruled that a guy who brought a case against the federal government when he was charged with a felony for having marijuana in the car with a pistol, that is unconstitutional, and the appeals court agreed with him. So he might win on this, that's true, but the hypocrisy is incredible because Joe Biden has been wanting to throw millions of Americans into prison for simply having a piece of plastic that goes on a firearm and without any kind of due process at all, and going around Congress and the law. So when it comes to everything that Joe Biden has said about crime, about drugs in the 1990s, and now about guns, he wants regular American gun owners who are law-abiding to do, he has none of those expectations for his son, despite it being all over his laptop. But what is his job going to be?
I don't know.
A dog trainer for Commander?
He could teach painting at a local school.
He could, but he's a gross painter. He spits through a straw.
That is true. You know, Judge, is a haircut just a haircut, or is there something else going on?
Well, you know, we've known Hunter for a long time, and we've never seen him with a buzz cut. So I happen to think that he's now represented by an attorney who knows full well that you can pee in a cup. They can test your blood, and a lot of drugs move very quickly through your system. But the part of your body that drugs don't move quickly through is your hair. And so I was a narcotics judge for over a year, and so I would mandate that certain defendants be tested by their hair. Now, the hair maintains the drug for a significant period of time, even for years, depending upon how long it is, depending upon the toxicity, how concentrated it was, and how much was used. By his having a buzz cut, when they go to pull a hair, they're not going to have a sufficient amount to even be able to test, so that he can be clean in a urine or a blood sample, because there are some things like some marijuana can go in and out of your system in a matter of a day or 2 days or 3 days. But the hair, you could also take pubic hair, but we know from the laptop that he happens to take care of himself down there. Okay? So what we've got is a guy who is very savvy about drug testing and doesn't want there to be any evidence about it. Now, I have to tell you the truth. That's what goes on in real courtrooms. Now, let me tell you one thing, Katie, about he can maybe, based upon that federal court, get away with 1 count, but he can't get away with the first 2 counts. He lied on a pistol permit application, and he lied when he went to buy a gun. Okay? And the other thing that I think is outrageous, that he's supposed to communicate his international travel plans to the judge. Really? Why is this guy being allowed to travel internationally? Shouldn't he even be registered as a foreign agent before he does that? I mean, it's just a sad commentary on all the favoritism he's gotten.
Yeah, Jesse, I'm not sure how it affects people who have somebody else's hair on their head. So you're safe. You're safe for now.
I'll pass any test.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
I don't think
the guy I got this was from never touched the stuff.
Exactly.
So I know when women chop their hair off, it usually signifies a major emotional change.
Oh, Jesse.
It's true, and you know it. You know I'm right.
Like Linda Hamilton in The Terminator.
If a woman comes into work or anywhere. And all of a sudden she's headlong, and the next day, gone. You know something's going on. You
It might just be
know.
a fashion trend.
Katie, you're a woman. You know I'm right. Also, I agree with the judge. See how I did that? Also, I agree with the judge. He was in the room with the Sugar Brother. Remember, he was ripping tubes out the window in Malibu?
Yeah.
He could just get contact right there. And you also have the bag of Coke. What was that, in June? So you can't be too careful. I want to know if the art that he's selling is considered a job. Now, could you say, yes, Judge, I am an artist, and I am selling my paintings for $500,000 to Chinese donors. That is my job. I'm not looking for a 9-to-5. Can you get away with that?
Yeah, as long as you tell me who's buying them, I'd be happy.
No, you can't say that. No, you'll get in too much trouble. All I know is that Joe is going to pardon his son at some point, whether it's when he's a lame duck and Trump beats him or after re-election.
All right, Jessica, you can talk about the shaved head or respond to Jesse, because you said, no, it's not happening. About the pardon.
Oh, yeah, the pardon's not happening. I don't need to say more than that. I'm actually still dying inside a little bit that the judge referenced the laptop in terms of knowing what's going on with Hunter Biden's lower hair, which I guess I didn't watch the video closely enough.
You got to open the laptop.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's cutting edge stuff. Okay, so what is still relevant to all of this is that people don't get prosecuted for this. The data, again, under 300 people prosecuted for falsifying the documents to get a gun out of 25 to 30 million people that got background checks the year that Hunter Biden got this gun. Katie's right about the case in appeals court, but it seems like the Supreme Court decision in 2022, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, is actually going to be what they use when they bring this up, saying that there was no historical tradition of firearms regulation when it comes to people who were drug abusers. And it should be noted as well that there's discussion of applying this case to people who were domestic violence abusers in the past. I am firmly on Joe Biden's side about all this. I don't want people who are high. I don't want people who beat their wives, girlfriends, whatever, to be able to have access to guns. But, you know, gotta admire it. Flip the script. Hunter Biden, right? Turn around.
Shouldn't he go to jail?
So should he be prosecuted?
Should he? A background check?
Well, they don't usually.
No.
But shouldn't he
They
be?
do. How many of those people lied on the application? That's the issue.
Well,
the issue is not how many people filed for a pistol permit.
No.
How many lied? And isn't that a
Prosecutions for
local
lying.
issue? It's a local issue. It's not a federal issue. The feds don't get involved in something unless there's something attached
if there
to
is no other felony, like the people like to throw away the Kodak Black case.
Is it Kodak Black or Jarul?
There's a lot of examples.
It's Kodak Black.
Yep.
And he was already convicted of a felony. Hunter Biden is a first-time offender.
All right.
Ja Rule didn't. No.
That's because he didn't plead guilty.
Let's
because
move
the
on.
deal was too sweet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.